Now, as for the deity of sign, we have to cultivate divine clear appearance and divine pride. So clear appearance and divine pride are the antidotes to ordinary appearance and adherence to ordinariness. According to the Tantra, the uncommon afflictive obscuration is adherence to ordinariness, and the uncommon knowledge obscuration is the ordinary appearance. The antidote to the adherence to ordinariness is divine pride or divine identity, and the antidote to ordinary appearance is clear appearance, cultivating clear appearance of oneself as the deity and so forth. Yeah.
Et ensuite, les antidotes, l'antidote aux apparences ordinaires, c'est la pratique de la vision claire, de la clarté. Et l'antidote à l'attachement à ces apparences ordinaires et à la pratique de l'orgueil divin.
Well, as I mentioned earlier on, as a branch of perfection, and then here in the sadhana, there is the visualization of sending out light rays from the heart of oneself as Avalokiteshvara, and these light rays go to the Pure Lands and they invite Avalokiteshvara and the retinue to the space in front. Many a times in the tantric sadhanas, you see these words, light rays radiate from my heart, and invite the wisdom beings from the natural abode, So there are three different ways about how you can think about this. You can invite the wisdom beings from the naturally pure abodes to come to the impure abodes. You can invite the wisdom beings from the natural the enjoyment body, the abode of the enjoyment body, and invite them to the abode of the emanation body. or you can imagine inviting the wisdom beings from the Dharmakaya and to arise into the Rupakaya. And then you mark your 3 places, your crown, throat, and heart with the syllables Om, Ah, and Hong. Then you're supposed to visualize the syllable Hri in your heart, isn't it? So the different ways of doing this, you can visualize the syllable Hri inside the drop of the letter Hong, or you can visualize the letter Hong within just slightly beneath the vowel of the letter Hri. Then another way of doing is visualizing is visualizing the Hri above the Hong or the Hong above the Hri. So it's up to you, but I think it might be easier if you visualize a blue syllable Hong in your heart, and inside the drop of the Hong, you visualize the letter Hri. So you're supposed to emanate the light rays from the letter Hri at your heart, and then invite the wisdom beings. So now Rinpoche is making the hand gestures that should go along with the mantra Za Hong Bam Ho.
Donc vous avez vu le mudra, Za, Hong, Bam. Quand au final, la lettre Ho, il y a 2 façons possibles de faire le mudra de la lettre Ho, comme l'a montré Rinpoche.
That's the mudra of the Vajra gathering.
L'invocation des êtres de sagesse, il y a ce mudra qui se réfère au mudra d'invoquer le Vajra, non, le Vajra croisé. Pour invoquer les
Za, Hong, Tam, So this is the mudra for Za.
Regardez le mudra.
구두점에 틈만이 나왜 엽절 지고 스쿨 주민이 나다 그래 틈만이 나왜 엽절 그래 어디면도 엽절 틈만이 나왜 지구 찾아 어디 됐어 남유 찾아다 비슷하고도 어디 다 단대디 저진디 들어야
So please look at Rinpoche.
C'est le plus facile à faire. Vous avez les différentes options qui existent.
Dahum Pamho said, and dinner commission that the detective did it, that share poverty in Bachachana, and the Chukan should delay your share poverty, share plus, and Omatuma Khan, those Cherina, that Kunikaya was, thus, the Omatu said the Matu Shavina. Kuni dea mare, sada chigu yore, o mata the chuni dea mare, chiki do mata capture chi yore, o ta soso che yoda, cosa chitu yoga, soso che ne yoda, homes, and tomato dust, Tudutana, palms, that jabber, and horse, dea, and the more on your tongue, two gay, and pencil jabbers.
So let me use an example to illustrate the visualization when you recite Zahong Bamho. So imagine that it's a glass, a transparent glass that's filled with water. So when you say Za, so imagine you're holding there's a jug of milk above the glass of water. Then as you recite Hong, that is kind of like pouring the milk into that glass of water. So although the milk that is in the glass is in the same glass with the water, but you see that the water and the milk are kind of still abiding separately. They're quite distinct from one another. And then if you were to take a spoon and stir the contents of the glass, then the milk and the water will be mixed inseparably, isn't it? And then as for Ho, after you have dissolved the wisdom beings, so you imagine that the wisdom beings are abiding inseparably with the commitment beings with great delight here.
Tundu Jagu number Tuji Dure, Nage Tentraman, Chimati Kim, Tara Rovane, So Shube, Yuna, Sampati Kuwa, Tamajade, Yavarana, Chen, Jumoma, who was at the soul, she saw Tabe, Ringe took at the Kurkano Sobe, Hamuchama, Duzika, Bato, Red, Trevor Nagi, Kumbechu Ran, Tamzipa Sari, Joan, True Tudu, one could Yunan, Tajakan. 타면기 나샤나 소베 내든 디디 주마탄데 산지다 디디 추균기 루 강웨 타마 지주도 칠레이키와 요디 교와레 지주도 라메모 와메 자와 미교와 나다예바린 중 따버 나버나데 나다예바 등의 주가 때 야와링의 운제바 사모스 다 이때레 라야 두개 사벨레 베세야 도스트네 Jhado Rinpoche chok patum mera kya. Ta tani Chenrezig di tidwa Jhado Rinpoche namju ina shal naba nanzere. Ta tani tisdagu midwa. Ani uyu dine ma ina oba me. Ani shachoba nam mikyoba. Ngombo. Lochoba nam rinjung. Nuchoba nam namba nanzere karbo. Ani changchoba nam tenyu chube naba patum mera tsudu usche. And so, Jhado Rinpoche, and Jhado Rinpoche, Pedro, so Tabala, Tene, and Jhado Rinpoche, Tugane, Hamo, and the Juzi Kumbala Soba, and then Hamo Patumela, Rahan the Docking number, the Gavota, Sevota, the Mombota, Gavota, Sevota, and Jambuda, Mao, or Tapitumas, Mombo, Sevo, Gago. Jambu, Uzo, Margaret, or Tinder, Hamopapa, and Chunde, Kumbe Tree, Wampo, or that more Tonito, Ishimba, and the number 3 number, Cheleti, and Tamangi, Nangata Shambata, Didi, Jibar Lasso, or Jimmy, and my Jantuya, Nuvayati, what let you one cool then, and you do the children you come. Do the children that should come over to get a member, Sami Dere Yakam, and Java ring yes, Jizu de la and Java de la Mikuba, Mobo, then Natayabatella, she changed there. And then Tabatella, Nabanate, Nada Yobatella, and the Yavarin, and the chess on you, never child.
After you've dissolved the wisdom beings into yourself as the commitment being, then once again you radiate light rays from the syllable free at your heart, and you invite the initiation deities. So the initiation deities here consists of the 5 Buddha families, with red Amitabha as the principal, and then in front of red Amitabha is blue Akshobhya. On Amitabha's right is the yellow Ranasambhava. Behind him is the white Vairochana, and on his left is green Amoghasiddhi. Then you make you supplicate them to bestow on you the initiation, and due to your supplication, then goddesses holding vases filled with nectar are emanated from the hearts of these 5 Tathagatas, and they initiate you with the nectar that is in the vase that is held in the hands of these goddesses. Yeah? So the very nature of this nectar is the wisdom, but it is in the aspect of the initiation water, and that initiation water, nectar, has the power, the potential to purify you of your negativities and obscurations, purify you of your ordinary appearance and your adherence to ordinariness. So imagine your entire body is filled with nectar. You experience uncontaminated bliss, and then this nectar overflows on your crown, and this nectar then transforms into the 5 Buddhas. So you have red Amitabha right on your crown. And then just above your forehead, you have a blue Akshobhya. Then above your right ear, you have a yellow Ratnasambhava. And then just at the back of your head, you have a white Vairochana. And above your left ear, you have green Amoghasiddhi.
Aussi d'éliminer les 2 voiles et purifier tout cela. C'est le but de cette initiation, c'est la fonction de cette initiation. Et ensuite, on visualise que notre corps est complet et rempli de nectar, et que cela produit une joie qui est incontaminée. Et de cela, on va recevoir les 5 derniers Bouddhas qui vont être en notre présence. Comme il est décrit dans la sadhana, page 36, il est dit sur dans mon front est Akshobhya, derrière mon oreille droite est Ratnasambhava, à l'arrière de ma tête est Vairochana, derrière mon oreille gauche est Amoghasiddhi. Ils sont ainsi présents avec nous.
Tindegi wangla tian tane wanggu jetapti khatu de chabaji yoyo on penza kula sa chabaji peji yoyo chajena o delere agaba ni tundela kala chajati ta chebelu yire ani namje tasan chashela chajati chimale ta chajati michiri kuchan khalesana wanggu weki wangla tian tane chabati mus diyo malis o tinde inza yidu chobares o tinde imbe chane chajade meje bayis tati kete sindun dore atasoma sindun gas dore ya kabe yidu ina chaja chebo tinde yore o ta tinde chaja meje kizende sungure
in some sadhanas, when you invite the initiation deities, before they confer initiation on you, you in some sadhanas you have to make offerings to the initiation deities who are abiding in space here. For example, there's this mantra, Om Panchakula Saparivara Argam Padyam, and so forth again. So at that time, when you're making offerings to the initiation deities, since the offerings that you are making to them are mentally emanated, you don't have to do the hand gestures or the hand mudras.
정말 좀 사실기 따발 남나 윤실 말을 정말 좀 표시를 나고 주 시샤마고 당 라면 오와메 예매도 제나 표가 문양데 개발 문제가 되지 있어 어떻게 시주지바로 오바메들라 오바메 게터시 오바데 메디 디초사디 디시티를 와다가라 나라 게서도선 들 우치마토 구수 차상요 말봐 다 단데디 자와리나 우제도 구수 차상요 봐 어딘데 인도 다 오바메다 모예메 시레데다 모예메 제스기여다 아니 오바메 우유간들이야 아니 오바메 차상지
So, after you receive the initiation, the nectar overflows, So it says in the sadhana that the nectar overflows, and then in the center, right, on your crown, there is Amitabha, yeah? And then your forehead, in the forehead, there is a Bulak Choga, and so forth, isn't it? So these 5 Buddhas, we have to visualize them in their full form, then, with the head, with the body and the legs, and so forth, isn't it? So with regards to the Amitabha, so do we then visualize a separate Amitabha sitting on the Amitabha head right at the top? Or do we just imagine that the face of Amitabha right at the top is in the nature of that Amitabha? So, this qualm.
Donc il y a une question sur si on doit visualiser le corps complet ou pas d'Amitabha dans ce contexte.
주지셰도 사베 투갈 다베 대기 띵도 이셰선바 파바 젤레시 군도가고 시디 차니바 예 조진다 예 춘제기 빼막가고 요한나마스 다 사바순지 공부도와 사바순지 당지사바 아니 자동전동티기 투가들라 이셰선바 젤레시 야샤슈니 시디 차니바 예 조진다 예 춘제기 빼막가고 요한나마를 뭐지 견다 다르게 나서지 샤미 냠바 신게 슈바스 데이토가 달라 다베데라 띵지사바 시가고 rincha tsugata chaba des samba sunjisu kenes kundo chandenso rinjendo samba sandengi gomba da tsetitu joba tingji gomba ni tu gone namur rani tuji chobushi juji ba samba sunji je tangsel yugi rashi je namke jatsun ta nae senata nyamur rashi meba ngebe nyeshe tam dingawa ni cho tela 다시 체네 교육군세 연대 군조기 투지 전문가들 나오 냐면 나게 쉽게네 소소다 친구 가데 제시 있는 게 거네 제직도 냐바 조스 다 될라야 나무 투지 전문 서바순지 나바 냐모라시 메바 네 니시 니소 어다 될라야 나오 냐면 나게 조스 어디
Donc ici on a fait la visualisation, on est au
and then you visualize a wisdom being at the heart of yourself as Avalokiteshvara. So the wisdom being has one face and 2 arms. He's white, he's standing. His right hand is making the gesture of the supreme giving, and his left is making the gesture of teaching the Dharma at the heart while holding the stem of a lotus. And then in the heart of that wisdom being is a moon disk, and on that moon disk there's a white cerebral tree with a long vow and a subsequent aspiration. So that white celebratory is the concentration being. After you have visualized all of this, then you have to cultivate a clear appearance of yourself as this three-tiered being, the commitment being, the wisdom being, and the concentration being. So you elicit this clear appearance, and then at the same time, in your heart, then you understand that while all of this is appearing, they do not exist from their own side. They're empty of existing from their own side, And with this appearance as the basis of connection, then you identify yourself as being the resultant Avalokiteshvara.
Il y a des syllabes Tang, Sel, E. Je ne sais pas quoi ça se dit en français. Cerveau. Cerveau, bien. Okay. Les aspects de la concentration.
In the text, when they describe, the kind of visualization that we should engage in, your appearing as the deity. The whole visualization is in the nature of light. It is very vivid and it is very clear. So the word vivid here, I think, has something to do with achieving the Dharmakaya, whereas vivid and clear has to do with achieving the Rupakaya and the form body.
조구다고 무섭다고 조조치야 마임바 아니 치바다고 lep수티야 마임바 치대 나서 난데 치사 어떤 지 고아레스 당설외스.
So when the word in Tibetan is tangwa. Let's translate the word as vivid. Yeah? So what it means here is that it's not like a drawing kind of flat. It's kind of alive, and from the outside you can see what's inside, and basically it's kind of like, it's not transparent, it's kind of like translucent,
세번째는 셀지는 도스 마음이 바라이 왜 익세이가 여기 바래 마음에서 기능도 샤바다 디규센티를 아니 멜루기 있다고스 근데 처음에 바벨 걸어 처음에 들lum도 구조자를 그것도 카드 처음에는 근데 말해 도 구조자기가 근데 라니 komisyare Chenrezig 치대는 나세트 나데는 치세트 아니 왜 그러시 마음에서 기능도 샤바다 아니 대야 다가 지금 쇠샤고 까발라셔서 쓰마이바 구조자의 자바트는 제트 근데 인가 밀루기 있다고스 밀루기 있다고스.
And then in the Vinaya text, they give the example of putting a flame, inside a golden container. So there's a difference between putting a flame or light inside a gold container or inside a clay vessel, isn't it, right? So if you put a light inside a golden gold container, there's this radiance, isn't it, right? Like the light kind of like radiates now, and you can see the radiance of the light, even though you can't really see the flame itself, isn't it? So it's something like that. Then another example is this here. Your visualization should be like in the body of a flame, because if you look at the candle flame, it is moving, isn't it? It's not dead, It's very much alive and it's moving.
La
So we visualize ourselves as the deity. So it's something like that, or experience is like in the nature of light, but it's very alive and it's very clear.
Et ici, on a vu donc les 4 branches de récitation qui sont incluses ici.
Then,
La première, c'était la branche.
then there is the practice of the mantra repetition after this. Yeah. So if you have not dissolved the merit field earlier on, so right in front of you, there is the merit field with Avalokiteshvara being the principal figure, isn't it? Then, as I mentioned earlier on, I think yesterday or today early on, maybe you visualize a moon disk in your heart, and a moon in the heart of the deity in front, isn't it? But before we do the mantra repetition, in the longest sadhana composed by the 7th Dalai Lama, there's the practice of making offerings to the self-generation. According to the tradition of Jhado Rinpoche, one must make offerings and one must praise the self-generation deity, because the practice of Tantra involves a meditation on aspects meditation on the aspects that are concordant with the 4 complete purities of the resultant state of full enlightenment. Yeah. So it's for the practice of making offerings and to the self-generation. Then I mean, it's kind of strange, isn't it? Because essentially, you are the one who is going to emanate the offering goddesses, and then the offering goddesses are going to make the offerings to you. Essentially, yeah. So, when we human beings, when we eat, we have to, either you make usually we have someone who will make the food for us, and then when the food is made, then the person that will serve us the food, isn't it? But in the desire realm gods, so it is said that the desire realm gods, whenever they have this desire to eat, somehow, food will just appear instantaneously. I guess due to the power of the merit and what have you, Then they're then able to enjoy a partake of that food. So anyway, you emanate offering goddesses from your heart, and then you bring to mind how these offering goddesses are in the nature of the non-dual profundity and clarity. Then these offering goddesses then present those various offering substances to you, and then you imagine partaking of those substances, and then you imagine you generate joy. Yeah.
de cette façon. Et ici, on retrouve dans le texte, il est mentionné.
So last night I went through the Jhado Rinpoche's collected works, collected writings in a volume Nä. So I'm going to. There's this text on the mudras for action tantra practice. So if we can just look at the what Rinpoche is doing here. So that's the mudra for argam or the drinking water.
Regardez, c'est le mudra ici. Donc les petits, les moyens qui se passent. Les deux qui se croisent sous les deux, l'annulaire et le petit doigt.
Yeah, it looks like this, yeah.
Les deux grands, on touche le majeur, les deux majeurs se touchent. Donc c'est trois mots. Et les second one? Finger, oui. Et l'index se recourbe, fait une petite boucle de chaque côté. Les pouces un petit peu ouverts.
Next is Padyam, foot wash water.
Donc on joint le pouce et l'index de la main droite. Et on fait comme ça avec la main repliée. Et regardez le geste de Rinpoche. De cette façon. Donc la première étape et la seconde
So that's Padyam, right? Okay, next is I guess Pushpe.
On joint les mains de cette façon.
So you put your palms like this.
Donc d'abord comme ça, ensuite on le couvre avec les index à l'intérieur et le pouce au-dessus des index. Et c'est plutôt, on les rentre vers l'intérieur, le geste amène vers le cœur et c'est
Tiuchung, Sela, Komonam, Somona, Pinzui Jate, Namangame Gyabji, Semin Tundu Kume, Zumuni, Lochi to Jande, Teboni, Lorashawa, to Wiki dance, the Namjeta Chashi,
That's the mudra for Dupe. This is what is done in the Namgyal Monastery and in the Lower Tantric College. Whereas in Gyuto, they do like this.
On fait quand la première version, comme ça.
Non, c'est
pas ça.
So this is light or aloke.
Ça c'est pour les lampes de lumière, enfants de lumière, ainsi de cette façon-là.
This is for food, nude. The mudra for New Day. The Shabda offering music. Well, it's not explicitly in the text, yeah. So for Shabda. So this is Gende. This is the mudra for perfume. So yeah, your left hand kind of symbolizes the conch with the center water. In your right hand, it's in that configuration, symbolizing kind of like applying the center water to the hearts of the married few of the deity. And when you recite the verse of praise consists of 4 lines, yeah? With the first line, you brandish the Vajra. With the second line,
donc ces 2 versets, est-ce que vous les avez
I don't remember exactly, but I think according to the writings of Gelongma Rinpoche, so there are these couple of verses of praise to Avalokiteshvara. Yeah? So the line that starts with your arms, 1,000 wheel turning kings, I think that was. So for example, if you are reciting the first line, you brandish the Vajra. With the second line, you ring the bell. With the third line, you do the Lotus standing mudra. And then with the fourth line, you put your palms together. Yeah. So this is a paying homage that is preceded by the Lotus standing mudra. So next is the mantra recitation. So if you are doing the approximation or the retreat of this deity, so you can accumulate, you can do the retreat by accumulating the long dharani, starting with Namorunatraya. Or you can do the approximation by accumulating the recitation of the mantra starting from Taryata Daradara Diri Duru Duru, that one. You can also do the approximation of this deity by accumulating the recitations of Om Mani Padme Hum. So if you have time, you can do the approximation and then accumulate 10,000 recitations of the long dharani. Or you can also perform the approximation of the deity and accumulate 10,000 recitations of the mantra Taryata Daradara Diri Diri Duru Duru, since there are more than 32 syllables in that mantra. If you are going to do the approximation by counting the accumulation of the 6-syllable mantra, since there are only 6 syllables in the mantra, then you have to recite 600,000 times. So the source for the number of mantras to be counted during an approximation retreat, is the Susiddhi Tantra. Susiddhi Tantra.
La source vient dans les textes du Kriya Tantra, une des 4 lignées du Kriya Tantra.
Susiddhi. 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 Susiddhi Tantra.
Susiddhi Tantra. Le Tantra Susiddhi.
Susiddhi Tantra.
Susiddhi.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good little Chadurang Dosan. Think not Lame Dosan. Chadurang Dosan of Tola. Yigi Jona Meche, and not Sabi Yavina, Yigi Tandanya Bear, and
so according to this Susiddhi Tantra, So it says, in general, perform 100,000 repetitions for as many syllables as there are when the count is 15 or below. So if the number of syllables in the mantra is 15 or below, then you have to do 100,000 repetitions for as many syllables as there are. So if you are doing the approximation of green Tara of the action tantra, since there are only 10 syllables in the mantra Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Swaha, then you have to accumulate 1 million repetitions. Yeah. If the number of syllables in the mantra ranges from 16 to 32, then you have to accumulate 300,000 repetitions of that mantra. If there are more than 32 syllables in the mantra, then the approximation count would be 10,000. But I think at the end of the day, the time that you need to do the approximation is pretty much, the length of time is pretty much the same. Yeah. So anyway, if you accumulate 600,000 repetitions of Om Mani Padme Hum together with the requisite excess numbers of mantras to make up for any mistakes, then it can be counted as a proper approximation of the deity. So it's up to you. You can choose either to recite 10,000 long dharanis or 10,000 Tayata Om Dara Dara Diri Diri or 600,000 Om Mani Padme Hums.
Et donc, on a ces trois options en fait. Nous choisissons l'option que nous voulons faire dans cette retraite, où on fait le mantra le plus long, 10 000 fois, où on fait le mantra moyen, 10 000 fois aussi d'ailleurs, tempo technique, chichik, non? Tayata Daradara, chichik,
So whether you're going to recite 10,000 long dharanis or 10,000 Tayata Om Dara Dara Diri Diris or 600,000 Om Mani Padme Hums, at the end you have to recite some extra mantras to make up for any additions or omissions. Yeah.
Par exemple, après je reviendrai à ce qui était dit. Par exemple, si on fait un mantra 100 000 fois, il faut rajouter 10%, donc 10 000. Sur ces 10 000, bien sûr, il faut leur rajouter 10%, 1000. Sur ces 1000, on rajoute 10%, 100. Sur ces 100, on rajoute 10. Donc ça fait en fait, au lieu de faire 100 000, on fait 111 111 mantras. C'est ce qui s'appelle le compte de complément. Et ensuite, donc pour la retraite, on a le choix de faire ou la version longue, ou la version moyenne, ou le mantra court de 6 syllabes, en rajoutant donc cette unité du 10% à chacun de ces mantras calculés, donc comptés. Et ensuite, donc la puja du feu. La puja du feu à la fin.
Then at the end of the approximation, then you do a compensating fire puja or a burnt offering. So let's say if you're doing the approximation while counting the long dharani, So, but then when you are doing the fire puja, you have to offer the various substances while counting the mantra of the deity, isn't it? So I think it's okay also to offer the fire puja while counting Om Mani Padme Hum, while reciting Om Mani Padme Hum during the fire puja. Because you were to do the fire puja and offer the substance while reciting the long mantra, then it will take forever, yeah? Your fire puja will take forever.
Et ensuite, donc on a fini sur le sujet des récitations. Maintenant,
so the mantra of Avalokiteshvara, Tayadam Dara Dara Diri Diri, has many essential points. So
Dara menche ki digi ane hatu nyamne dejo yala shi nyamne tene samden shi nyamne tutu kanga tinande tsire teng duas.
Chacun dans ce mantra de Tayatam, Daladala Diri Diri, etc., il est inclus tous les éléments que l'on a vus.
So if I didn't hear Rinpoche, if I didn't get it wrong, so I think in the mantra there's long dharani. The whole section prior to Tayatam Dara Dara Diri Diri, the section prior to that shows the practice of the 6 deities, the 4 branch repetition, and the 4 concentrations.
And so that money to the charge and Omani Peme Honti, Tinsang Aransi, Zumuti Shaw to Zuna, Om Kabu, Manjangu, Sebo, what in the Yumud was, Sondating Yumud was, and around to Chenrezig, Deva Chivakabi, Manidi, Sondating Commander, nothing you can cover us.
Sometimes you see Om Mani Padme Hum that's written on the walls or carved on stones. Sometimes you see that the syllable Om is white in color, and maybe Ma is green in color, and so on and so forth. But when you are doing this deity practice, you should visualize Om Mani Padme Hum, or the letters of Om Mani Padme Hum as white. Yeah. So the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum starts with Om and ends with Hum. So Om consists of the 3 elements A-O, Ma, that represents, as I mentioned before, the basis of the extinction, the body, speech, and mind. And the syllable Hung is made up of 5 different elements here. So basically, together they symbolize the 5 wisdoms, yeah. The 5 wisdoms, yeah. So how do you transform your ordinary body, speech, and mind, and how do you then achieve a state, where you possess the 5 wisdoms? You do it through Mani and Padme method and wisdom, isn't it? I already explained to you, I think during the initiation time, I believe.
Tandade Marando Oman Peme said, Chajuta to Chen, Dangi Yorete, Malameta to Chen Oman Peme Yore, but in the end, Malameta to Chen Oman Peme said, Deni Medan do to us, the Bani, Kunzo Deba, Yulu Town, Tundam Deba, Vese, Yulu Vese, Sunju Gambe, go to us.
But of course, we are doing the practice of Om Mani Padme Hum now in the context of Action Tantra. But there is also the practice of Avalokiteshvara in Higher Sukha Tantra. So if we talk about the meaning of Om Mani Padme Hum from the perspective of Higher Sukha Tantra, then Mani and Padme would you have to correlate those two to the conventional truth, illusory body, and the ultimate truth, clear light, and also the inseparable union of the clear light and illusory body. So if we explain the meaning of Om Mani Padme Hum from the perspective of Sutra, so essentially in order to you transform your body, speech, and mind into a state of having the 5 wisdoms through the practice of bodhicitta method and the wisdom realizing emptiness. Yeah. Because in Sutra, you don't talk about an inseparable union of method and wisdom. Then if we talk about the meaning of Om Mani Padme Hum from a general tantric perspective, so for example, here in the context of Action Tantra, by the practice of the yoga with science, yoga without science, then you achieve the state of full enlightenment. Yeah. And if we talk about Om Mani Padme Hum from the perspective of Higher Sukha Tantra, then Mani will refer to the conventional truth, the illusory body, and Padme refers to the ultimate truth, the clear light. And it's true, these two being together means the union of the illusory body and clear light. So I guess this is the reason why you accumulate the benefit of reciting the mantras of all the other Buddhas. Now, if you recite Om Mani Padme Hum, because the entire Buddha Dharma, the essence of the entire Buddha Dharma is contained in Om Mani Padme Hum. And then in the Manikabum, the collection of teachings on Om Mani Padme Hum by Tsongtsen Gampo, so one can explain the meaning of Om Mani Padme Hum from various perspectives. Yeah, you can explain the 6 syllables in relation to the 6 perfections. You can explain the Om Mani Padme Hum in relation to purifying the 6 types of sentient beings. So I'm not sure if I got everything, but let's say if Om is white in color, so that purifies the gods. Then Om, the Ma is green, I think. That purifies the demigods. Then Ni is yellow. Yellow, Om Mani. I don't know. Ni is for purifying, maybe the human beings. Then but me, I don't know what color is but it purifies the animal realms. And then you have the me is red, it purifies the hungry ghosts. And then you have the hong, which is dark blue, it purifies the hell beings. So is it necessary to accumulate the recitation of the wisdom descent mantra while doing an approximation? So usually we will append the syllables Hong Ha Anze to a mantra if we are practicing Hayasaka Tantra. If we append the syllables Vajra Abhishaya that is the system of the Yoga Tantra. There is no, it is not absolutely necessary to accumulate the wisdom descent mantra when doing an approximation of an action tantra deity.
Il n'est pas écrit, il n'est pas précisé qu'on doit le faire.
So there's no need to accumulate the wisdom descent mantra. So there are a couple of faults that one has to avoid when you're reciting the mantra. I think the source is in the questions of the Subahu Tantra. So first, you should not recite the mantra. Your mantra repetition should not be too fast nor too slow. You shouldn't recite the mantra too quickly or too slowly. So all the syllables has to be pronounced. You shouldn't recite the mantra loudly, so the people around you shouldn't be able to hear what you are reciting. But it can't be. But you shouldn't recite the mantra, very softly as well. That is a fault. Then you're not supposed to recite the mantra while speaking. So of course, in the morning when you wake up, you watch yourself, isn't it? Your face and so forth. I mean, I don't think you have much time to watch yourself, before the second or the third session. Yeah. So in place of taking a bath, you do. you do this practice of what we call the Nyering, or the literally Nyering means to touch,
다 예리 생긴디 소소스 들이야 품바이나 품바메나 에네 mineral water bottle to go to vase.
So if you have a vase, an action vase, put one in front of you. If not, you can just you can put a bottle of water in front of you on your table. Of course, take off the cap. So now I'm explaining to you how to do the practice of Nyering or touching. First, you take the water and rub your lips, then your eyes, then your 2 ears, then your nose and the mouth. Then you rub your left palm, then your navel and your forehead, and then you take 3 sips of the water. And then you finish off. You saw what Rinpoche did, yeah? You wipe your mouth with the back of your right hand. So this is the practice of Nyering or touching, and this is done in place of taking a bath or washing your face and so forth. What I have just demonstrated to you earlier on is the full package here. But if you do it in a kind of a rough way, you just merely make the gesture of touching your eyes and face and what have you. So I had a qualm about using the water, because it mentions in the text that you should use the water and then rub your palms, and rub your both of your palms. So I wondered, I was wondering how, what does it really mean? So I asked one of my gurus, Chöpke Chujin Rinpoche, was a great Sakya Lama. So he was from Pembo Nalanda Monastery. So I received all the teachings on the hand gestures related to the Yoga Tantra practice of Vajratantu. So when I asked so Rinpoche explained that, of course you have water, you have some water already on your left palm, isn't it, right? So you would then, I don't know, you saw what Rinpoche did, yeah? So when you enter into your retreat room, when you're about to start your session, of course, then you'll take your seat, isn't it? Then as soon as you sit down, then you have to do this practice of Nyering or the touching the various parts of your face, with the blessed water. And then after you drink the water, and then from then till the end of the session, you're not supposed to talk. Next, you're not supposed to recite the mantra while distracted. Then when you recite the mantra, you're not supposed to lose the vowels, the anusvara and the visaga or the visaga. So your mantra repetition should be free from these 8 faults.
창거든라 나 사베든들이야 추투기 베서도 게자시기 제초 맞다.
So you have to pay attention to this. So if you're doing a retreat and approximation, yeah, once you sit down, once you start, then you're not supposed to drink, during the session. You're not supposed to talk during the session. So you have to do there's nyeric or the touching with the water. Yeah. As soon as you sit down, and once you're finished with that, then until the end of the session, you're not supposed to talk. Yeah. So in Hayasuka Tantra, instead of doing this nyeric, we would taste the inner offering. Once you've tasted the inner offering, then from then till the end of the session, then you're not supposed to talk, not supposed to drink, and so forth. Yeah.
노부 배마제 제 노부 추시기 지나 세트 배마 창제도 나게 하이 체는 배와 홍리 투기 사ben 임베 투지고고 나중에 배매인 거 보디제 셰가고 가론도 중앙 자자게 저는 상마 당시 장면까지 고바 순리기 충다제 인가를 라바예베 고모다 티중 짱 고모다 티우중 짱 Zumo Jhado Zumo Jhado Nyungne Sinata Tewong Jamba Sumba Taros Natamo de Danchebre.
Regardez le geste, comment on tient la mala pour compter les mantras.
And the two dancer and the stand of the digital lucky.
So we're doing for the first mala. You hang the beads of the mala on your ring finger, and then you pull the beads, yeah. And after you finish one mala, then you can pull the beads with your forefinger.
Number 10 and the sea money that Javalati. Laria was a cover so trade. Rangi Joe and Kangi Pargi, Lu Tanjeka, the Dinnet and the Mungundu, Dome Bavata, Cason Chaventa, the said children, never 2 children, how to something we get a trade, Nyave Tada, Ida Gitero, Tunjulingu, Kochi, Hama Ingi, Tabse, me Gavanachi, Hai Chiboton so, Ridu. 지체라도 동해다 레년다 내기 변화서 탐제장 내 탐제 답의 신경 주기 선전 탐제 투지 친구 꾸를 주가 내가 순나 꾸이 켜서 중화단 중국이 드라이 변 탐제 장데 랑다 선 탐제 투지 친구 살아 남기 많은 우르들 잡아 내가 다자 숨이 켜서 선기 차고 탐제 투지 친구 투동이 인지는 거잖아요. 그거 내가 전도 투기 계속나 야야 셀 대신도 나와 이노스 다 되지래 다 그래서 dom도 쉬고 있나 내가 제가 걸라 아니 대체 가시 요래 대체 찍라 다 찍으려고 미과 현재 트레이닝 미과 예매 순주고 미봤으면 어떤데 지금 숨 쳐버 왔어 예매 순주
Yes, for the visualizations that you can do during the mantra repetition, essentially there are three sections. Yeah. First, the visualization of blessing yourself. Number 2, the visualization of benefiting others. And then number 3, the visualization of the inseparable union. So the first one, the visualization of blessing oneself, is essentially this. Yeah. So you emanate offering goddesses from your heart, and then they make offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Then you imagine the blessings of their body, speech, and mind return in the form of light rays and dissolving into you. So the second visualization, the visualization of accomplishing the welfare of others. Yeah. So you emanate, you emanate Chenrezig, or you send out light rays, and these light rays touches all the sentient beings, of the all the sentient beings, the 6 types of transmigratory beings. And then you imagine you purify them of all their suffering and their negativities and obscurations. And then you imagine that you place them in a state of enlightenment. Then all the sentient beings that you have placed in the state of full enlightenment, you imagine all of them are collected, and they dissolve into the seeds level at your heart. So that's the third visualization, the visualization of the inseparable unity or union. Yeah. So these 3 visualizations can be done in relation to any deity practice of the 4 tantric classes. But here in the practice of action, in the practice of action tantra, there's this practice of the 4 branch repetition, where it talks about the self basis and the other basis. Yeah. So let me give you a brief overview. Yeah? So first, you bring to mind the Avalokiteshvara in front of you, and in his heart you visualize the mundis, and on the mundis is the syllable Hri, and the syllable Hri is surrounded by the letters of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. The letters of the mantra are all facing inwards. Yeah. Then you bring the upper winds in your body down to your navel, and then after that, then you pull up the lower winds in your body to the navel, and so you do the vast breathing, and then while you're holding the winds in your navel, then you focus on the mantra in the then while holding the energies at your navel, you focus on the letters of the mantra in the heart of the front generation. So you're kind of mentally focusing on the letters of the mantra. But of course, you can only do this for a short while because you have to breathe, isn't it? So then as you exhale, then at the same time you imagine the letters of the mantra in the heart of the front generation transfers to your heart, and then you have the letters of the mantra at your heart. Yeah. Then you, by focusing on it, then you recite the mantra. Then, so you recite however many malas or mantras you want. Then you stop reciting. Then now you focus on the form of the letters of the mantra at your heart. So it's as if your mind is like your mind is one with the syllable Hri. You're kind of like the syllable Hri. Then then while holding the vast breathing, as explained before, then you mentally observe, mentally recite the mantra while focusing on the letters of the mantra at your heart.
Ah, c'est la lettre Shri qui lit les lettres. C'est la lettre Shri qui est mon esprit, qui lit les lettres du mantra dans mon cœur.
Then, of course, you can only hold the vast breathing for the limited amount of time. There will come a time when you have to exhale, isn't it? So as you exhale, then you imagine the moon together with the letters of the mantra, and they leave from your heart, and they leave with your exhalation, and it is then transferred back into the heart of the front generation. And then, while focusing on the form of the letters of the mantra in the heart of the front generation, while focusing on that, then you continue with your mantra repetition. So when you're doing approximation, you have to do this during the session. Otherwise, then the practice of the 4 branches of repetition will be incomplete. Yeah. So there is the repetition that focuses on the letters of the mantra in your heart and in the heart of the front generation, but it's also the repetition observing the sound of the mantra in your heart and in the front generation.
Donc on a fini maintenant de voir clairement ce qu'est la récitation avec les 4 tranches.
So I hope that was clear. So sometimes when you're reciting the mantra, it is also good to remember that and that yourself, you as the deity, you have actually arisen from the wisdom realizing emptiness. Yeah, that is your mind realizing emptiness that is appearing in the form of the deity, isn't it? And then at the same time, while you're appearing as a deity, it's good also then to bring to mind how all of this is empty and it doesn't exist from its own side. Yeah. So earlier on I talked about the second visualization, the visualization of performing or accomplishing the welfare of others. Yeah. So if you want to elaborate on that, there are many things you can think about. You can think about the practices of a person of small capacity, the practices for a person of medium capacity, the practices of a person of great capacity. You can do the practice of taking and giving. Because the second visualization, the second visualization involves accomplishing the welfare of others, and essentially you imagine that you are placing all sentient beings in the state of full enlightenment. But how are sentient beings placed in the state of full enlightenment? Then you have to go through the entire Lambrim, isn't it? And then for those of you who have done some study of Buddhist philosophy, this is the time to bring into your practice all that you have learned, And if you do so, then your practice becomes very extensive and very deep, very profound.
Dans cette pratique unique.
So remember, we've arisen into the deity, through this process of the 6 deities, starting from the ultimate deity and then culminating in the sign deity. So, but when you do the dissolution at the end of the sadhana, then the process is reversed. Okay, so in front of you, there's the front generation. You have to dissolve the front generation into you. Then you, as Avalokiteshvara, dissolve into light from top and bottom into the mantra garland at your heart. Then the mantra garland dissolve. In dissolve becomes non-observable, and then what is left is the sound of the mantra. So then that sound becomes unobservable. It dissolves into emptiness. Then you place your mind on the meaning of emptiness. This is quite clear. If you look at the Nyung Nä Sadhana composed by the 7th Dalai Lama. Then from within the emptiness, then you arise as Avalokiteshvara with one face and 2 arms.
Avec un visage et 2 bras.
Then you recite the aspirational prayers and the auspicious verses. So when you are doing a retreat, an approximation retreat, then you must offer the Toma every day. It is excellent if you are able to offer the Toma at the end of every session, but at the very least, you must offer the Toma at the end of the last session of the day. So the Tomas, for example, the ones you see on the altar, there are 3. So the one in the center is for Avalokiteshvara. The one on its right, the one on its right, it's for the Daga Daginis and the Dharma protectors, and the one on its left is for the landlord spirit.
Which one is he? Yeah. Avalokiteshvara au centre. À sa droite, donc à notre gauche, sont la torma des protecteurs et la Kriya Tantra. Et à sa gauche, et à notre droite, celle des protecteurs locaux.
So you have to bless the torma before offering it. Since this is a lower tantra practice, so it is important that the substances they are used for making the tormas must not involve meat and so forth. Yeah. Well, it's not an absolute must to make the tormas in the traditional way, you know. You could always, use biscuits, fruits, you know. Nowadays, the biscuits and the fruits and so forth they come in very beautiful packaging. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, even if you are offering biscuits, make sure that the biscuits do not contain eggs, you know. Basically, it has to be pure. The substances for the tormas have to be pure vegetarian, yeah, very pure vegetarian. So if you're going to offer biscuits, make sure you look at the ingredients carefully and make sure there are no eggs, there are no onions, no garlics, they are used there. The torma is not offered to the self-generation. The torma must be offered to the front generation. Torma offering is an important course for receiving the attainments, the CDs here. So you invite the torma guests, then you offer them the tormas, then you supplicate them, and then at the end, if you have some holy objects around, for example, a tanka or a picture of Avalokiteshvara, then you can imagine the torma gets dissolving into those holy objects. If not, then you send them home. So you have a tanka of the deity, so you imagine that the torma gets dissolved into the tanka. So if you don't have a holy object or a tanka, so you imagine that the torma gets returned to their own abodes. You imagine, yeah.
Ok, visualisez que la torma s'en va vers les demeures pures. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Donc il ne s'agit pas de torma, il s'agit de la génération frontale qui va ou se dissoudre dans la tanka ou repartir à sa demeure pure ou à son état naturel, sa demeure naturelle.
대주를 맞으면 상대 매내다 다내다 단다 털을 때문에 상대한테 받아줘야 지금 공 축축스리 여기 있는 인적을 열었어. 그 인지 잡고 그때 말했어. 다 되게 잘했어. 나 매내 가서 대주를 맞으면 매내다 다내다 두 소리에 받아줘지 축축스리 상무 땅 상배나 그 받아들이 제대로
So then it is good to just briefly engage in the concentration without repetition. So this consists of the concentration of abiding in fire, the concentration of abiding in sound, and then the concentration bestowing liberation at the end of the sound. Yeah. So if we just mentally go through these visualizations quickly, then at the very least we are leaving a positive imprint in our mental continuum.
오만에 빼면 홍승이지 예대가 틀려 미부터 모르지네 아니 라니 자네스서 싸워도 봐주 팀 아니 남진티 또 저수 아니 이게 속다도 매대가 아니 지 외비라시 그거라시 매일라시 이 매기 the marriage barina sur skate jalwa lejbana sur skate jalwa or the skate sete oman peme hum sheba ngati databa direct la mine and me bala tete neve ta dirwa chingu gyatare me bala tete neva jine kombachirwa ta tigi kombe chundra la hotela and le deter power and ti kaso kakobalo so tinde meva kinetic sumudwa deter power so ti use or to manage something is
so how do you do the practice of the concentration of abiding in fire? So at the end of the sadhana, after you have done the close dissolution, so at the end of the session, you have arisen in the form of Avalokiteshvara with one face and two arms. Yeah. So then you visualize in your heart. There's the mantra garland. Yeah? So you focus on the letters of the mantra. Okay. Then once you have a stable focus on that, then you imagine you dissolve from top and bottom into the mantra garland in your heart. Then the mantra garland dissolves and become unobservable. And then what's left at the end is this a tongue of flame, and from within the tongue of flame. So there's this tongue of flame. That's what's left at the end is this tongue of flame, and then the sound of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum is resonating from within the flame. So you focus on that as your object of observation, and then you attempt to cultivate to actualize calm abiding. So, and your meditation should be free from the force of laxity and excitement. Yeah. So, according to the path of action tantra, if you're achieving calm abiding, so calm abiding is achieved at this juncture when you're doing the practice of the concentration of abiding in sound. Yeah. So right at the beginning, when you take the initiation, you take on the bodhisattva vows and the samayas. Yeah. So that is like the practice of ethical discipline, isn't it? With that as your basis, then that's the foundation. Then here at this point in the path, you you attempt to develop calm abiding, which is the higher training, in concentration. So I said in the context of action tantra, calm abiding is to be achieved through this practice of the concentration of abiding in sound. But if you have not done any study before, then maybe this is the time where you discover that you really then have to open up the books, because in order to develop calm abiding, you have to know how to go about doing it, isn't it? So for example, you have to understand what are the 9 mental states, 9 mental abidings. You have to understand what are the 5 faults that will happen along the way, as you are trying to cultivate calm abiding, and what are the 8 antidotes that you have to apply, and so forth. So for somebody, so if you have already done the studies, your studies, then when you are at this, so when you come, when you are ready, or you come to the time when you are when you are trying to cultivate calm abiding, you know how to do it, because you sorted everything out intellectually, isn't it? Right? So then now is the time to practice. So of course, when you achieve calm abiding is a concentration that is characterized by this achievement of the bliss of physical and mental pliancy. So your concentration is clear, it is vivid, and there's a force behind your mind's apprehension of your object of observation. Okay. But the job doesn't stop there. Even if you have achieved calm abiding, then the next thing you need to do is to achieve a special insight. That's when the concentration bestowing liberation at the end of sound comes into play. So you already have calm abiding. Then you focus on the sound of the mantra, isn't it? The sound of the mantra. When you bring the mind how even that sound is empty of existing from its own side. So then you enter into meditative equipoise, observing emptiness, which is just a negation of the object of negation, inherent existence. So you place your mind on that, yes, and then and we have to alternate between analytical meditation and placement meditation with emptiness as the object of observation. And through the realization of emptiness, then one will be able to then abandon the afflictive obscurations and the knowledge obscurations.
nyamne che luksu ji yoro kota na shi che nangi na ning de was ta ko indi mi menes da ne something that something indi gong ores na ke shu mes.
So I'm not saying that at the end of the every session that you have to engage in the practices of these concentrations, yeah. But I think it's good to just at least mentally review, the process, and in so doing, at least you're placing virtuous imprints on your mental continuum. Right, just mentally review, quickly, or the practices or the visualizations that comes with the concentration of abiding in fire, the concentration of abiding in sound, and then the concentration bestowing liberation at the end of sound. It sounds like rocket science. Oh, it certainly sounds like rocket science to me. So anyway, so you do a quick mental review of these different concentrations, and then of course you are now at the concentration bestowing liberation at the end of sound, and so you're kind of like in a state of emptiness, yeah. So then from within this state of emptiness again, then you arise as the deity, You arise as the deity, yeah. So next is the visualizing the front generation, yeah. So I'll just read through the Tibetan commentary, and I'll just maybe just comment a little bit on the important points, yeah.
Dushila never gave them Padam Sunday. Now then the Pema Tate, Pema Chu, Yomo Managi, Kurva Matushi, Yomo, but he Pema Tate, Nangi, Yomonja, John Nuna, Chi, give John, but the touching so by Nagi, Kingo, Dushi Kain, but the Tomba Niku, Tombana, Rango Togashi, Namnangi, Sabin, Dumika, or Senatoshi, Chen, Dungi Kingo, Casanera. Nazo Pema, Nazo Dojita, Jurumuja, Nazo, Shayaga, Tushu, Goshi, Chenrezig, Moserma, Garjam, Mari, Ziba, Madama, Dona Poguta, Shamu, Diagenta, so Tin Tangent, Nangi, Dion, Sharam, Rose, Nuka, Chanja, Marashi, gave Goethe, Shayek Khan, Tiki, Jitsuta, Lulan, Pomsuso, Yigi, Dam, Nebekshi, Lomemba Nangi. Shunto ne Chishi, Tokawa Yimbi, Sheriff the Nalaman Lama Chaos. That Shayakan the Nangi Usus, Syndicate, which is cheap into Nazo Madame Java, down at the village. Nyung Nä cover in the cover, Lanati, Toy Channel, Lame Channel, and a sugar lap of the high end of Ulu, comparison, Tamis keeping bus.
So when you meditate on the front generation, first to recite the action mantra of the deity, isn't it? To dispel any interference. Yeah? Although Padman Takrit is Hompet is written in the text, but we follow the tradition of His Holiness. Yeah? So we recite Shri Vachakoda Haya Griva Hulu Hulu Hompet. So depending on what basis you are using to generate the front generation, be it a mandala base with heaps of rice or small little thomas, or an actual a picture of a mandala. So anyway, you purify that in the emptiness, and then you generate the celestial mansion, and then with the deities inside the celestial mansion. Yeah.
시작이 되기 때문에 홍몽고 요소교 비교가 예 상년다 예 nhập 또 되기 때문에 좀 세우 요소교가 리로서 예 초진의 예 nhập 노도 되기 때문에 까고 요소교가 남남까고 예 템주 딩베스 템주 딩베 구출 가칠 때문에 템주니 또 카드 남도 때문에 피우충 세나 공모 숨기 구슬기 남시 여배 템주 니 림바 장주적으로 찾아잡아 이 양성 쉬울 수 없자 다 내려를
Regardez le mouvement qui est fait.
되게 숨자도 피우충 세나 공모 숨기 구슬기 다 내려지도 되가리 다시 대견이야 말이야 딱 망쳐도 되는데
So generally, that's the mudra of Vajrachana. This way of depicting Vajrachana is very common in Japan.
자예는 어디가 되시도 어떻고야 육수들이 지게 봐봐 장기 땡기 땡도 장고 요소께가 기본적으로 이 깨진다 이 냠샤를 찾아서 시간 뭐지 얘기는 다시 나서지 잡 쪼를 쳐대 잡도 기준 것이고 당지게 하탐지기 저 오늘도 두가 공시에 연수 진행을 두개 공시에 소기 랑게 이제가 제한하는데 나야 두개 공시에 소기 오나 제한다 왕구리 계획 자주남 조장당 콜제기 개발마도 나 시작한다 다시 늘 개발중에 우집에 전소로 와면서 코로나가 나라를 일단 두고 참지기 우집을 내가 채나 미과 대신 나들라마를 고쳐다 제권적 증명하고 공부 내가 레벨 건조 증명하고서 군제 비리가 들어와 레벨 요도스 되는 오mon고로 아야 시소기 인간의 처벌하는 거 나를 지기라고 처제는 소신 처벌 값을 시험받다 되나 차자 띵인들 처벌 그 또나 연락인데 사이 가서 시어서 천진당 제가 주님의 로문도에 예선나도서 부처 되네 대신 나타에 나시 소기 지된 전에신도 떠받차대 지된 대신 나타에 조르다 슈베 조 빼먹가를 창선지는 투지 정부 자를 주지가 시작해 미겨가 원보다 등 원보다 floor 진중내다 미겨 보고 인사 미겨 보고 floor 진중내다 누긴 넘버 나자 상을 전혀 주가 소제 때마 주다 남태 투가를 슈베 저기를 라만한다 유강도 슈베 저기 주승기 포대마 하는지 그거 보가를 해야 산지기 신 감 만도 여가는 이기 대두다 이기 차차와 나도 또야 저 기오셔 되네라니 자동 전동이 나게 봐라 내가 빙기기 라마 자동 전동 이게 참지 차 주진이 찾아 내가 탐지기 청중말에 뭐 투지 저거 사과매를 이시인 봐라 나가 무슨 내가 빙기 파자다 제가 탐지 답을 저 두둑값을 오면 균도 밥에 분바 강화 그 뭐가 제시도 많이 잡아서다 되는 랑이 주때 사실기 처음에 띵도 때마다 다베다 때마다 예매베 gelongma palmo rabdu 중에 차제제 차니 두가 탕어되어 밥에 투죽고 뭐천다 되베 더더가 상신 랑도 타고도 파마르케베 일주고 선대 탐제게 표현에 류기 차차지 나비 그도 물천전 담바다 이기 되베 지는 tension 뮤글 잡을 껴서도 삼나스 장자다 제 그도 유식자티 다진 사와 되바차데 지도 남네 제기던 세기 루도 바다 지존다 방아와도 지샤만네 제 그도 기대와 친구 나 전사를 리시메도 중요시 슈베 대다로 또 차오스 뭐다들 참 융내 qable야 düğün에 제레스 파나 긴고 차창지 요 사바체 아니 대래야 이시바 젠타 왕구 얘는 지다기 제다 아니 대래야 쳐바프 떠바트 아니 떠바트 사례 제라 라니 제레스 사바티기 지오들라 아니 라마당 오예메기 gelongma palmo 아니 슈체 뭐 챙기 추도 아니 슈유사데 와체네 아니 라니야란 차차버 와스 포테도 버 와스 게로마 데네 이게 고고로 차차 지금은 스고스 붙고 고스 딘데 버서 어투두 아니 타보기 생겨 탄지기 차차기 유사데 와체네 아니 포테도 신도 차차스 노투스.
Donc on en était à la génération frontale.
So after you have established the front generation, then you invite the wisdom beings to dissolve into them. Then you invite the initiation deities, they confer initiation, and then the front generation deities are sealed, impressed with the 5 Buddha families on their crowns. And after which, then you make offerings to them, then you make praises to them. And after which, then you have to recite the Po praise. The Po praise was composed by the Bhikshuni Lakshmi. You're supposed to recite the Po praise while making prostrations. Yeah. So before that, you visualize the Bhikshuni Lakshmi on your crown, and imagine that she's inseparable from your root guru. And so with that visualization, then you recite the Po praise and you make prostrations, and at the same time you imagine all sentient beings are prostrating together with you. Yeah.
새롭게 중국고 사계기 나상도 계획신인들 때문에 담아 냠소나데 사는 뉴트그는 생생도 상계기 고마토가 지기 없이 제가오스 이 파바체에서 기지데 거다제가 따라본소스 지기 년보 쉬우지도가 디 수송인바디 신의 우주송되네 야와기드게도 수인바디 생도와 제가 손들 텔레 개발 제도나 파바체에서 투지들 시에서 제 긴두게 숨기 자대스 세상 당분이 공소 되는 이 과활도 되는 이 통계 장주 있으니까 되는 이 간전 레뉴다 되는 이 대화전도 되는 이 계획심이 기자가 되는 이 남때는 상계를 손대 힘에 주변에 버티는 동주하고 서로들 시다를 쏘았다 봤다 샤기시를 마바치고 숨소스 딱 파바체에서 두지들 세야지 아니 여기 비교도 숨레샤 아니 카세고 디나 싱도 와스 디인자 자바보면이 있네야 할래를 아니 이거 다 같이 제대로 식사하고 대다른 템베 토네 아니 소마 엽스.
Et maintenant, nous en sommes l'étape du rituel de conclusion, page 49, avec cette requête particulière par Chenrezig.
After which, then there's this supplication to Avalokiteshvara, which starts with, O Arya Avalokiteshvara, treasure of compassion, and together with your retinue, please pay attention to me, and so forth. Yeah. So this is a very blessed prayer because it was composed by the second Dalai Lama, Gyaltsen Gyatso.
Et elle a une grande valeur, cette requête. Donc il est important quand on le récite de se rappeler de l'importance, de se rappeler qu'elle a été composée par un maître saint, un grand pratiquant, et la réciter avec ferveur.
So then there's the Toma offering. I've already explained the Toma offering to you earlier on, yeah?
콜 티신시가 시당 제가 남나 뒤지기로 또만 보고라나 소소리 쉐라 레버 총도 무두 그 진바데도 소시하고 대신도 스타도만 이거 뭐차 주고라서 가도 추경난다 따고로 파생 채나가 소가 별로 시다는 나라도 느끼지 세다라 아까로 쉐서 대수기고 나더니 엄니 도지수기에 아까로는 아까로는 무한고 서반 탐제 담만이 최는 아데네 도만 누벤 나는 겨워매 또다니 칠 엄아홍 우승투 천재 폐는 크시데 견설제 소환이 레버진데 연내 두제데 나무 떠나다 양다 그런 순간 우승투기 로드스 예매베 두즈다 하르세지 예모 파기 나 로이 아이니 더만이 겨워매베 칠 최탐지기 고 쉐바다 아이 천대 최탐지기 내용 동반이 따와 전시만 또마풀라 폐소에 땡땡다 간제 파트 탐지 시와다 통계를 탐지 주베 전해쳐스 자조마베 순도 대대 민주시 마들 리고 고반나가 되게 초나나야 로맨반나 멤버 남나 남버사르치 공부로 아야시서 이 양변나가 주민이 저거 모다들 저거 그제 투지 정보 시서 너서 천조처럼 시작이 시행이 개방과 상대 최근 투지 정보 기본에 봐서 가르 주선다 가르 시다는데 또는 전부 숨 코르다 제가 개는데 양변의 대대 취지 만들어 인지 집에 또만 디시가 다다 선전 탐배가 초기 모두 산지지 공부한다 통도 모두 레디즈루 민매 강조다 미나 줄에 카주 싸워 제가다 두가 친구 제다 시계 왕다 때 리시 모두는 저 주지 저 되는 것을 메로라 김고기 하이 수면 샤발라 날 주게 분주 추서 자신 다 되네 또마 그 차례 제들아 아니 추서 지금도 왔어.
In relation to the front generation, after you have offered the Toma, then there's the practice of offering ablution.
람도 싸웠는데 드메터로 보고 전에서 코단자가 신도 주신데 늦까지 균기 구주소를 개발할 때 다소 좋았는데 윤주도 시dim이 정말 받았는데 그래서는 정말 잘 자료 추구로 추구수는 눈이 와서 더 배치시쇼 제가 되는 랑이 지워다 도가다에 공익이 다 벤자사도 스타트네 디만다 데베스도 시아가 도지선에 차나 카도 가고 예고도 거가 도지가비 교육받을 하자로서 예바 탐제 때 시아가 있어 봐. 예바 탐제 함에 두두를 삼아 망두는 데네 뒤게라 메도다지로 탐어데 다기 띵인지 마세바다 상아 마다바다 저가 하제도 교가 땅라 맞춤 땅라 총원으로서 예바지가 타다 도지좀 결라 소와서 달라 주밤교 데도서 시에서서 오만에 되는 만두죠. 링기기 도가 리서치를 내로 우수 봐봐 이게 주바 대예수 세 노부즈바 여도 유 이게 주마 때 봐봐 이게 주고中国 순간 군도 가고 시지 차시와 당원이 두가 담어져 두지가고 가는 부바다 예 오메시는 예 빼가는 나 다른 나서 다른 거 제게 란디 뒤기 넘버 전에 추 가서 지오를 출루배 당부인들도 니베 시리다 수배 게임에 추부터가 상나 무엇을 본주 레슨 출신 중에 이 공도야 공 가서 레슨 출신 조레니 공도야 레슨 통내 타르 쪽을 쏘고 랑이 지조는 텐데 투이 지도려가 상어 되네 개가 니 시소기 뭐면 저대 지대는 대가 지대 소종도 동반 내게 안에 파바 투지 친구 건데를 추저로서 매일 개와서 디 tulate 다들 두지 친구 무슨 그 마겐 두도와 직상이야 코레네스 마요가 투지 친구 시에다가 디 산에 섬 공화라 다니 코네 군네가 쇼지 제고 이거 튼점다 튼이 시야가 제가 찾은 대다수 튼 마마 튼 치마 모습을 받고 튼점으로서야 셰차 하마 자위 셰차를 튼걸 삼네 나 두지 친구 셰티 찬이베 나게다 세나레 마유베 나네 순남구 다다 순 전도 투데 계속 순 세때 개람도 도순이 라데지다 개바 파마 예와진 순나 베바 류기 총부 차고 땡신 나긴 대주 진교 롱네 이게 람조 순다 제대 주 고가서 개외 차외 투다 고이신 랑 하사를 사동 두지다 그 하제다 내가 샤에 컨수면에 롱제바 로바 순도 차외 대신 자다 저외니 샤창 고종 러부 뜰 상마 바과 랑 카투소 빵데 퍼스널 때문에 렌지 차와 숨베 대주니 니마 체기 체 칼라 주데 때는 눈에 퍼스널소 두rum의 사와를 침발롱 제라 카 추셔스네 미사와고 대체 네 파르바타 로마타 네 카바이베 카바 리그리티 카바타 로마타 라틴 남수 세 사메룸 시우스 라틴 세 사메룸스는 야하비 잠시 가르치기나 치료차 그럼 따라 런지소 롱제발레 쇼 다라 오마 신도그리 소 두르바 네스 두바네 두rum의 세소 송바나 미사 무시 니 토라 니 세바네 마와제데 주나 초가야 마도 메저로 니결체바 시에메 마두나 치다미바 데메드차 사동 루냐지바 추틱직자냐 메체바 마세 치마야 미미바 치르보와 상화송 정의 니기 튼수메 모는 주도 다시 제라 남기 차파베세 랑 활사리 시에서 유지 투랑 투지 정보 선바 손질도 사례 당직 선바 차동 샤르주지바 그 까보슈네 투게 23바 제지 찬이바 23바 투게 띵드서 프리데 저저 요두슈는 자예바다 미미가서 따도도 샤데 니도로 자 상동배만의 투지 정보 제지 찬이 그 토기 신고는 무신이 추전에 소정을 해봐서 자 얘기니 깨린 샤네 당고로 막 여기 분주동 마저리 분주다 대내 토독통 토독성 내도와 뉴네 대내 동은 분주 제수 소정부터 발라네 토독동아 이스 소정부터 발란체 제 토독동아 이스도다 그카레 인 센테지고 가르쳐요 셴야 대외 겁니당 라바당 지바당 르바당 오군당 마소 쇼나 니리 체데 대와 쩌수당 사자 니바 셔바소 니바 시타바 시타바 중기 마 탑중 마마 루주당 공주 게다 점에 년보 게다 팔라 루주당 자기 숨에 숨을 진주소다 셰바를 제가 라네도 배워 투나 갈쳐와 여도 여와다 무신이나 마튼 공튼데 저가 튼수를 잡으래 튼 당번이 마시 스바다다 튼 바로 다 바다니라 제조로 소정부터 말내는 그게 빼내기 담자제데 온배만 오버해서 제조로 투자 대내 추가받는 사람이 제소도 나가지고 나게 챙겨라는 돌아와도 야와세지 조건이 주고 제 대유세에 상기 조도 장도 승계 제가 대이사로 보고 제가 주고 뭐는지 봐 튼 당고 지다가 신도 자신 튼 순간이지 주도 님의 대리시에서 다시 차대 쓰던 님의 대리시에 님의 튼 당보다 세모 대리시에 세모 튼 당보다 님의 공양 대리시에 님의 공tun다 양기 대 세모 공tun다 인생 다도 대리시에 님의 튼 타마다 세모 튼 타마데 인생 두두두 본조스니 시바다 내가서 유선 배워다 터도 누구 유개월 내가 뭐봐 이남 냥도 제가 살로스 제조는 내가도 뼈들이 당장 명무처럼 모는 주도 능기기 주시리지 기본 있나 어스바티다 배다에서 이제바 템버 슈즈 소 시르메도 터신 땡슈자데 나도는 엄마 참줄 타나 아우 마스미베 안투 우닉송 많이 우천 제 슈퍼 레버를 틱타는 내가 벤자이네 도지라 소환이 시초도 담지를 구성도 이제를 구성도 레벨 업도내라 도지다 예미체가 시초를 시고 루시 총무 경고이나 온반단 이시와 시지 담지바라나도 제 식소 차대 나도는 없는 구성도 반단에도 문이 시고 두어데 구성도 도지 뭐 구성도기 도지 뭐 되고 이시와 당신이 내서 시시 담지바 외주신 랑 있는 것들을 더는 되는 나를 시작하다 눈에 들을 시에서 이따시 차대 대단한 흉도 라네가 미고 소 셴네 또 그거 시작 대신 사바 죄신도 수바 주기도 쳐왔던 거다 자장으로 한번 이내내게 된 차례 먼저 콜비지로 뒤지 야주 스마트한 주니까 된데 치매도 에마사를 시작하다 지든 시에는 콜라시 야주 스마트한 흉용은 디 된데 상계지 공부 눈으로 숨게 남들의 조율통을 내리지 패는 제수 바바 다 시에서 따라 초음으로 상계지 공부한 눈이나 통문금으로는 눈을 갖다 주면 시 순디 냠설람에 패였던 거 임배 대라 상계 강대로 부주자니기 저만이기 누기 tran다님의 취지냐 봐도 파바제네시 이 센터 점바다 대라 차 렌지 제가 패냐가 담주 빼먹가버려 숨바다 하초 리 인고는 지점 주외장 자동 시당 사명나이 내가 탐지장 샤주집에 손에 숨바다 년에 좀 숨바 레라양 펜 체면과 참발롱 때문에 놀래 숨나 특정 소중 손에 펜 따지면지 야라 제레레네 숨에 펜 빠드면 군두주 세는 놀래 숨바다 뉴네 렌지 기베 까와시지 코아니신 다와전도 잡았다 류용을 제베 류기 주었다 이다기 미게 나다 류용네 제베 류기 주었다 이다수 미게 나 마제 제베 나기 주었다 둔돌 미게 이기 수만데 이기 주었다 냐월 미게 루마 이수 나라를 심해와 셰베 코발에 돌로스 디지테스 라고치사마레 산게 관계를 부주자니기 저만이기 때문에 강단냐베기 쳐바다 년고월에 파바제레스기 세 즈바다 챌린지 차르 펜치르 디 담주 빼먹가도 돌 수바레스 어디지도아스
It is said in the White Lotus Sutra. It is said in the White Lotus Sutra that if one remembers the name of Avalokiteshvara, and if one make just one prostration to Avalokiteshvara,
관계 체면 단단하면 나는 산제라 처벌 표발에 파과제를 시키기 체인지 줘봐다 나는 차 렌지 차봐다 소마틱다가 대치를 이 담주 빼먹가볼 숨어요 그때가 들어가려때 하려요 담주 빼먹가볼 돌 숨어요.
So in the White Lotus Sutra, it is said that the merit of holding on to the name of Avalokiteshvara and just making one prostration to him is equivalent to the merit that you get from making offerings and honoring the Buddhas, equal to the number of grains of sand in 62 Ganges rivers. Then in the Dharani of the 11th phase Avalokiteshvara, it is said that just by reciting this mantra once, you can purify even the four defeats, the very heavy negative karma of having committed the four defeats or the four downfalls, and the five actions of the five heinous actions.
On va purifier des éons de négativité.
And by doing one Nyung Nä, you purify the negativities and obscurations accumulated over 40,000 eons.
Les préceptes, ce genre. Pardon, les préceptes, Mariana.
So in the Nyung Nä practice, you put up with some physical discomfort, such as abandoning food and drink. So this purifies then the obscurations of the body. It purifies the karma to be born as a preta. And by keeping silent and by not talking during the Nyung Nä, you purify the obscurations of your speech, and then you will not be reborn as an animal. And by reciting the Dharani, by reciting by mentally reciting the mantra Dharani of Avalokiteshvara, you purify the mental obscurations, and you will not be born in the as a hell being. And by bringing to mind how one's body, speech, and mind, and body, speech, and mind of others do not exist from their own side, then you create, you plant imprints to achieve liberation from samsara. This text that I've just read out here, just read over these past 2 days, is a part of the collected writings of the Ngochu Dhammabhadra. So I received the reading transmission of the entire collected writings of Ngochu Dhammabhadra and Yangchen Drupal Dorje from Bakula Rinpoche. So this completes my program here at Institut Vajra Yogini. So I would like to thank Gishe Yunten and all the organizers here for my visit, for organizing things, and also Geshe-la. So Geshe-la, both Geshe-la and myself, we both come from the same monastery, and we kind of like grew up together, so to speak. I would also like to thank all of you, because you live in the West, you have a very busy life, but despite that, you made the effort to come to the teachings. Well, so the actual initiation of Avalokiteshvara happened on the 15th day of the third dependent month. So there was a coincidence; it was not planned, yeah. So it was very nice, and there was a lunar eclipse on the day as well. So anyway, let's dedicate all the roots of virtues that we have accumulated for the long and healthy life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, for the swift return of the unmistaken reincarnation of Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And also we dedicate our roots of virtue for the success of all the FPMT projects and activities and centers around the world.
Et aussi que tous les désirs des centres de la FPMT soient exaucés dans le sens de bénéficier autrui, dans les actions de bénéfice à autrui.
So over the past couple of days, I've mentioned to you the importance of the renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct view. So please keep that in mind. This is also the view of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And also, I think it's good if you can recite Om Mani Padme Hum. No? So I think you can easily accumulate 1,000 Om Mani Padme Hums in 15 minutes, no? So if you're quick, you can even do 10 malas in 10 minutes, no? So let's say let's say you've gotten the hang of this, and you're able to consistently accumulate 1,000 repetitions a day. So you should calculate, how many mantras you're able to accumulate in 1 year. I think maybe 300,000 to 300,000.
Et le fait de réciter 100 000, quand on entend « Oh, je dois réciter 100 000 mantras », ça a l'air d'être impossible ou énorme comme tâche. Mais en fait, si on calcule de cette façon-là, on se rend compte que c'est vraiment pas impossible, c'est très accessible.
I've already mentioned to you early on about the benefits of Om Mani Padme Hum. So if you're able to recite Om Mani Padme Hum, you accumulate merit, you purify negativities and obscurations, you plant imprints, it will help the world. So we are now giving some work to our hands,
Page 99 in the Golden Book, dans le livre clé, page 99 in the Golden Book, please.
Mama pai loto koro rinpoche, namo rinpoche, tomo rinpoche, nampo rinpoche, lampo rinpoche, tacho rinpoche, mapa rinpoche, teche peri bumpa, gema chewama numa gama, medoma rupema nasema rishama, Nima dawa rinpoche tu, chore na pagewe gyasa, usura dami, peja punso sofa masawa me, sanjeye dumwa madita trinchen sawa dam gyompa, chepe peden lama dampa non donke pedo yon che sun tenzin chune rinpoche, Père un peu changane pas chotou j'ai chen peu kadri samole pas topé kadran tuta kiyandu shingan bulwa gyo toje dewe dondo she susa shine da so mama gyo no keta danyan pesem chen tamche toje wa chen peu boni jingi rap tu sol Maintenant, on va prendre la prière de longue vie pour son éminence Jhado Rinpoche. C'est sur une feuille volante.
Et maintenant, nous prenons la supplication pour le compte de retour de Jhado Rinpoche, composée par sa sainteté de la Lama. Rajan maintenant, nous allons prendre la compilation des textes de l'Institut. Et nous allons page 17, s'il vous plaît. Janjo Senjo Rinpoche Makera Nagyoshi Kyepa Nyampa Mevayon Kone Kondo Perwajo Toni Tawa Rinpoche Makera Nagyoshi Kyepa Nyampa Mevayon Kone Kondo Perwajo. Page 18, 4 secondes. Agamira Wekor Weshinka Deepen Dewa Marujo Chenrezig Wanten Tingyaso Gisha Presite Bado Tengyoshin. La dernière, page 19. Akewa Kutoyana Lama Tendre Necheki